Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Iyun HaMishna. Today we'll be focusing on Perek Gimel, Mishnah Aleph, Maseches Terumos. The Mishnah has a case. Hatorim Kishus v'nimsas Mara v'tiach v'nisas haruach Truma v'yachzar v'yisrael. There's two cases mentioned in this Mishnah. One case is you took off something that was spoiled. You didn't realize it was spoiled. You should have tasted it. You should have found out that it was spoiled. And you gave a kohen something spoiled. So the di'evet, the halacha is that it counts as truma because we said nara aliyafa is truma. Technically, it's edible. But di'evet, though, we say you have to take off another truma. And the same halacha applies if you took off the second halacha. The second halacha is if you take off a barrel of wine in order to pater something that now is vinegar. We don't know, right? If you knew it was vinegar and you tried to exempt vinegar from Terumos and Maasros by taking off wine, right? By giving truma of wine to pater the vinegar, giving the vinegar to pater the wine. Giving the vinegar to the kohen. So if we know it was vinegar, it's two minim. Vinegar and wine are not the same thing. So therefore, vinegar is used for cooking and wine is used for drinking. So therefore, they do different things. So it wouldn't exempt one. But what about if you're nistape? You don't know at the time when you took off the Terumos and Maasros if it turned to vinegar. Now it's vinegar, but maybe when you took off the Terumos and Maasros, it still was wine. It hadn't turned to vinegar yet. So therefore, it's a suffix, and you should take off truma again. Okay, so you have this dichotomy over here where you're taking off, it counts as truma, but you're taking off truma again. The first case is where, like we said, there's nesias chet. You did an aveira, you took min hara off it. You weren't supposed to do that, but it takes effect. But you have to take off truma again. So we explained, and we're explaining now that the idea is there's two mitzvahs behind Terumos and Maasros. Hafrashas truma. We're talking about truma. That's Masechta. It says rachis, right? Rachis are Rososechem. The Gemara says in Makos that chita achas poteres kol akri. You don't have to, even though Truma recommended us, give 1/50th of your produce to a kohen. You can take up one stalk of wheat, millions of stalks. It would still pass the entire crate. Because there's two mitzvahs. There's a mitzvah hafrasha, ben adam lamakom, right? We explain either ben adam Hashem or ben adam lamakom. They should have got a reputation, be a yashar person. And then there's ben adam lechavero. You're supposed to give matana tova to the kohen, which is really a good thing for you to appear as a rich person. That you're giving Iyun a nice present to the kohen because he does work in the Beis HaMikdash for you. So there's two different mitzvahs over here. Ben adam lamakom, ben adam lechavero. So that's why in all these cases you take off truma. The truma counts as a truma, but you have to go and be mafresh another truma because technically when it comes to ben adam lechavero, giving to your fellow kohen, so therefore there's a concept when it comes to there's competition between you ben adam lechavero. You're supposed to do a mitzvah, but it's a competition. You and your friends. That's the way the world is. Competitions. Therefore the concept motzi mechaver al arai. When there's a suffix of mama, when he has to prove it, he has to give an 80% proof. And it belongs to him. So therefore, it's considered truma. The achzor v'yitrom. It's considered truma in terms of the kohen. Right? He has to accept that unless he can prove that it was vinegar at that time, or unless he can prove that he can prove it was vinegar at that time. So unless the burden of proof is on him, but the mitzvah ben adam l'chaver, the matana tova, and although, but even so, there's still a chiyuv to get to take out a precious truma to pater your kri. Because when it comes to your reputation, you want to have a gilded reputation. You want to have a golden reputation among people. Therefore, it's a suffix. So therefore, ben adam l'makom, in terms of the minhag l'makom, the people in place look at you. You want to take off precious truma. That's the mitzvah of rachis. Rachis is that you give the first thing of your kri, even chita achas poteres kol kri. Give the first thing to Hashem. That makes you look good. You're a person that believes it's not just you who has the success in bringing a good parnasa with your crops. It's HaKadosh Baruch who is involved also. So that makes you look good. If you give rachis, even a little bit. So therefore, you have to take off. That's a suffix d'oraisa. That's ben adam l'makom. You have to take off another truma again in order to pater it. But you wouldn't have to give the same amount to the kohen. That would the kohen have to prove to you. If he wants 1/50, he's going to have to prove it to you. And that's this dichotomy over here. There's two mitzvahs. Fresh truma, ben adam l'makom, ben adam l'chavero, and there's a difference in the suffix. That would be the shir of today. Hope you enjoyed. See you tomorrow.